Good evening. This is Wednesday, September 24th, 41 days until the 2008 presidential election. With every poll and every measure of momentum against him, with his campaign manager tied directly to a principal company in the financial collapse, and that company's bid to retain access to the senator by paying the campaign manager's company now as recently as last month. Senator John McCain today suddenly announced it was necessary for him to stop campaigning for a time so that the nation could instead focus on the economic crisis for which he has tried to blame Senator Obama. And, oh, by the way, that means we need to postpone Friday's presidential debate. Our fifth story in the countdown. Till when? December? The Republican candidate wanting an official timeout from his own campaign. The day beginning with a phone call from Senator Obama to Senator McCain. The Democrat asking the Republican about the possibility of issuing a joint statement about the economic crisis. Senator McCain then unilaterally deciding that his best move, maybe it was his only move right now, was instead to pick up his marbles and go home for a while.
It's time for both parties to come together to solve this problem. We must meet as Americans, not as Democrats or Republicans, and we must meet until this crisis is resolved. I'm directing my campaign to work with the Obama campaign and the Commission on Presidential Debates to delay Friday night's debate until we have taken action to address this crisis.
The commission, by the way, says no dice. The numbers of the day for Senator McCain possibly worse than the Dow. In the new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll out tonight, the Democratic nominee, Senator Obama, with a clear 12-point advantage on the question of who would be better at improving the economy. In the new Washington Post survey, it's a 14-point lead for Obama on who voters trust more to handle the economy. A majority of those surveyed, 57%, believing the Democrat is more in tune with the economic problems of American voters. The picture of the day for Senator McCain, no better. The Republican nominee surrounding himself with Wall Street titans to discuss the economic crisis. Some of the titans he chose illuminating, to say the least. Senator McCain looking for advice from Henry Kravis, the leveraged buyout or takeover king made famous by the book Barbarians at the Gate. Also looking for guidance from private equity trader Stephen Schwartzman, the beneficiary of what the Washington Post says might be the mother of all tax dodges, so-called carried interest. Mr. Schwartzman having received $350 million in cash distributions last year, having paid only 15% in taxes on them, not the 35% that regular rich folks would pony up because Mr. Schwartzman structured his trading fees as capital gains. Senator Obama, meanwhile, arriving in Florida for 3 days of debate prep, saying that precisely because of the financial crisis, he believes having a debate Friday night is more important than ever.
It is going to be part of the president's job to deal with more than one thing at once. I think there's no reason why we can't be constructive in helping to solve this problem and also tell the American people what we believe and where we stand and where we want to take the country. So in my mind, actually, it's more important than ever that we present ourselves to the American people and try to describe where we want to take the country and where we want to take the economy, as well as dealing with some of the issues of foreign policy that were initially the subject of the debate.
And a small postscript to the day's drama that might turn out to be bigger than anybody expects. Senator McCain also canceled his appearance as David Letterman's guest tonight. Letterman said McCain called him personally to express his regrets, but that he had to head back to Washington immediately to deal with the financial crisis. Imagine Letterman's surprise as his show was taping this afternoon, and a producer told him McCain was not in Washington nor on a plane, but rather in another CBS studio taping an interview with Katie Couric. Letterman even showed the feed of the Couric-McCain interview on the air and shouted at one point, "Hey, Senator, I've got a question. Can I give you a ride to the airport?" McCain flat out lied to Letterman. The senator is actually still in New York, will not return to Washington until morning. I know all this because on top of everything else, when Senator McCain canceled, the guest they got to replace him on Late Night was me. Oops. Yours truly and not John McCain on Late Night with David Letterman on CBS this evening. David was, in short, on fire. Check your local listings. Lots to talk about with our own Richard Wolff. Also, of course, senior White House correspondent for Newsweek magazine and the guy they were going to call after me. Richard, good evening.
A long way after you. Good evening, Keith.
Well, closer than you might think. All right. Obviously, this is supposed to make McCain look presidential. But if it made him look like he could not do two things at once, I mean, the idea being that the president can't call a timeout if a crisis hits or two of them hit at once, did it actually do just the opposite?
Yeah, look, that's the way Senator Obama wants to frame this, and it's not a bad line of attack. I actually think McCain's problem here is not doing 2 things, it's doing 8 things since this crisis broke a week ago. He was against the bailout of AIG, and then he was for it. He said the economic fundamentals were sound, and then he's hit the crisis button on the whole economy. He wanted to fire Chris Cox, and then he said he was a good man, and finally he said it was all Obama's fault, and now it's time to work together with Obama. So the problem here, I think, for him, and the reason you're seeing this double-digit gap in the polls on handling the economy, is this inconsistency, this sort of frenetic quality to McCain's reaction to this crisis as it's unfolded, compared to the calm, consistent position that Obama has. Maybe cautious, he may be not very vocal on some of the details, but people are getting an impression of something much more stable than what we're seeing out of McCain.
One of the casualties here, one of those things on the side. What is the latest on the debates? Are we going to see it cut back to 3? Will the vice presidential debate be canceled? And might that have been one of the real goals here?
Well, that may be one of the stratagems. I think, actually, this is a sort of throwing the chessboard up in the air idea and seeing what happens. In a way, it's a game of chicken, mixing a metaphor here, because McCain is sort of trying to position himself in a way that makes Obama look foolish. The problem is, the game of chicken didn't work, and the Presidential Commission, the Commission on Presidential Debates, wants to go ahead with the debate. Obama is too. Everything I hear suggests that this debate is going to happen because the McCain campaign says if we get a deal, we'll go. Well, there's likely to be a deal.
And the positioning that you mentioned, what happens if Obama were to show up at the University of Mississippi on Friday and McCain, for some reason, wasn't there? I mean, is that what ultimately McCain wanted, so he could then claim, look, Obama wanted to talk instead of resolving this? Will that be the answer anyway, even if they do come to a deal before the debate and the debate goes on as scheduled?
McCain wants to show that he's above politics and that he can get heads to crack together and come up with a deal, which probably would have happened anyway. You've got to understand where the logjam is with this deal. It's with House Republicans, ideological conservatives, the small government crowd, who don't like the big government proposal that's coming out of the Bush White House. Can McCain really bridge that gap when his own conservative credentials have been so much in question through this campaign? I doubt it, but there's going to be a deal anyway because enough Democrats will support, in the end, what the Treasury Secretary wants to do here. So I don't think anyone's going to show up to the debate on their own. A deal will be done, but McCain will say, oh, at least I tried to put politics out of this.
Well, of course, that was after Obama had originally suggested the joint statement, which was the first move towards this. But after that happened, McCain managed to visit with the delightful Lady de Rothschild, who called those the gun and Bible clingers rednecks, canceled the Letterman interview but did the Katie Couric interview instead, met with the Prime Minister of India, and stayed in town so he can address the Clinton Global Initiative tomorrow. There is dropping everything, and then there's just saying that you're going to drop everything. Does the paper trail, does his scheduled book here, his appointment book, hurt McCain?
Yeah, nothing says country first like meeting with the wife of a British aristocrat. And I'm not talking about Katie Couric. You have a problem here in the sort of dynamics of the day and the timing of it. Why now? Not just what McCain did today. Was there anything in the fall of the market today? No. Was it the credit market sending interest rates sky high today? No. So the timing, the circumstances are highly suspicious, and I think voters, frankly, will be scratching their heads and saying, what's up with today?
There's those other numbers, those poll numbers that dropped. One correction, I said Senator McCain met with the Prime Minister of India. That was Vice Presidential candidate Palin. Richard Wolff of MSNBC and Newsweek. As always, Richard, great thanks.
Thank you, Keith.